G'day everyone, how you doing? It's Lawrence, aka the Kiwi, back with another video. In the last video I tried to explain the balance of how everything works and why there is pain and suffering, why there's happiness, joy, you know, the world of opposites, the yin and the yang, the up and the down, the left and the right. And I thought that might help explain why there is a certain amount of suffering, etc. in this realm. However, I've had a couple of people actually hold my feet to the coals and they're wanting more information. They're like, well, okay, we get that. However, if God is this all-loving, all-caring, nurturing, benevolent being, then why is there still suffering? Why is there still this pain? Why is there still all this pain and misery that goes on in this realm in different respects? So, to explain this in greater depth, and we're going to be doing some deep diving on this subject, to be explaining this in a greater depth, I need to first explain this to you. And that is how we end up here. And this is important, actually very, very important. So like I said, here we go. We're going to be doing some deep diving on this one. The reality is, and I mentioned this in the previous video, we're born in a specific point of time. This realm that we live in, this solar system, whatever you want to call it, it's a giant clock. And depending on where you're born on the planet, or if you're a flat earth or if you're born on this disc, it doesn't matter. Depending exactly on where you're born and the rotation of everything, whether it's the solar system rotating around the flat earth or the sun and everything rotating. Everything's still rotating. Okay? There's still that rotation there. The reality is you're given a specific life. You've been chosen to have a specific experience while you're here. You see, before we're put into our fetus, our soul's energy, and actually our soul's energy is put into the mother's womb or into our fetus in the mother's womb at month 5. We have basically 2 births. Our first birth is when we're put into our fetus, and then our second birth is when we're actually born into this world. So those 2 points of time, birth-wise, are important to who we are and what we have to perform or what we have to do here in this life. And that is what we call performing God's will. That's what is, you know, taught in religious circles, is performing God's will. However, what you're taught in religious circles isn't actually the truth of the matter. And to understand who you are in depth, you need to understand those pinpoint time, places, etc. when you came into this world. So how that starts is when you're on the other side. Before you're born into this world, you are making agreements. It's just about like a contract. It's a very limited way of explaining it. However, you are here to experience certain things to help with not only your personal growth as a soul, but to bring about that balance in the entire universe. And what happens is we all have soul guides, each and every one of us, depending on how much work we are. We can have anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4. I've got 3. So anyway, the reality is you talk and work with those soul guides before you come here. You know what you're going to be experiencing. You know what you're going to be doing. You know the other souls you're going to be coming in contact with. And it's very interesting because the area where this all happens in the heavenly realm is absolutely, apparently it's unbelievable. Now, I myself have never seen it. I had a dear friend of mine, Andy, who had 2 near-death experiences. In his second near-death experience, he was gone. He was on the other side for days. He got shown how everything worked. And sadly, he did not want to share his experience with me before he died. He died a few years ago from pancreatic cancer. He said the world wasn't ready for what he knew. So who am I going to judge that? But he said, on the other side, I never saw this, I'm going by what he said. On the other side, he calls it a soul port. And he said it's this huge big porthole between the two realms. And he said it's absolutely incredible. He said while I was there with one of his guides, he was like, I was on this hillside looking down into this area, and he said you could just see thousands of souls just dropping down into the earthly realm. That's where the term fallen angels comes from. As souls, as we drop into this world, we are falling into this realm. And he said you also see the angels coming back, the souls coming back from their experiences and being embraced by their soul guides. He said some of the souls are like, woohoo, you know, happy to be home. Some are coming back where they're just absolutely devastated. He said it was unbelievable just seeing all this coming and going of souls just by the thousands and thousands. He said this porthole is huge, and it's surrounded by this massive like golden platform. And he said you could see, he goes, I got to see souls discussing what they had to do before they headed down here, and the other souls that they'd be working with. Like our guides, our soul guides, are working with the soul guides of other people to bring about what is playing out in your world. Every individual that you come in contact with, you're coming in contact with for a reason. It could be just a simple smile and a hi as you're walking down the street to somebody wanting to try to murder you. Those situations have all been played out before you. I saw this actually in deep meditation. It was incredible. Where I was in that tunnel of bright light again, and as I started to go down this tunnel, there's just thousands and thousands and thousands of faces. Just thousands, from when I was a little kid all the way up to at the time when I had that experience. And these faces are just rushing by me. It was like the lines in the center divide of a road, and you're doing 150 mile an hour. They're just like flashing by, and you're just like, oh my God. But you knew every single one of them as I was going down this. And as I was getting further down, it started to slow down and started to slow down. I'm looking at these individuals, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, check that out. You know, I know this one, I know this one, I know this one. And it got slower. The more and more profound the experience was that I had here, the slower and slower everything got. And I'm like, I know this person, I know this person, thank you, God bless you, amazing, incredible, oh my word, you're in a complete a-hole, I can't believe it, you know. And then it just stopped and it opened up, and it was like there were my 3 soul guides standing there. And all 3 of those people that are guides in my life today were people that were here to direct me on my path to where I am right now. And when they died and passed away, they took over the reins over my other guides. My guides that were here while those guides were alive, they moved aside. And one of them is now born back into this world as my daughter. And yeah, it's really pretty incredible. And how I know it's my daughter is my daughter literally saved my life, in all honesty. I mean, it was the birth of my daughter was the single most important thing that's ever happened in my world. So the reason why there is this pain and this suffering, it is for you to grow. It's not coming from God, it's coming from you. Yeah, you ever heard of free will? Yeah, that's where it comes from. You have this path, this journey that you're going on while you're here to learn, to grow, to increase your knowledge, and to bring balance. As that knowledge grows, bring balance to the entire universe. And you have a choice. It's like I did a video many years ago You know, you've only got two choices: to be part of the solution or part of the problem. That's where free will comes into play. So the aspect of free will is you have a choice to be a horrible person, you have a choice to be a sadistic, nasty individual, or you have the choice to actually be a decent human being. That's where Jesus said when he's being nailed on the cross, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." Because if they are awake and they are aware, they wouldn't be doing what they were doing. It's their free will. They don't know what they're doing. They're just going along with whatever. They're still yet to awaken to the actual path that they need to be going down. That's what it is. So these people that are actually a-holes to you, these people that are murderers, these people that do these things, you know, the wars and the killing and everything like that, they are they're numb. They're not awake. They're not aware. That's part of their experience. And this is the thing, is people will keep on experiencing the same thing. People will keep on doing the same thing up until they get to a point where they actually get tired of being that person and want to awaken. However, there are some people here that it is their job to be those individuals. It's incredible that when we go back to that soul port, you'll actually have people that are going to be murderers here. You will have people that it is their job to be that horrible individual because they're bringing about those experiences. This is going to be a really hard example for you to fathom. Think about people like Mao, Hitler, those sorts of individuals that brought about an incredible amount of suffering to a massive amount of the population, to millions, tens of millions. Stalin, oh my God, what he did to the Ukrainians was unbelievable. That is a mass awakening. And when I mean a mass awakening, I mean a massive, massive, massive awakening. When you've got somebody that is starving or slaughtering 10, 20, 30 million, 100 million people like in China, you are bringing about a massive awakening to the entire galaxy. You're bringing a massive, fast point of awakening. A massive amount of balance. And I know that's really difficult for people to comprehend. I don't endorse it personally myself. I just know how it works. I know I can get my head around it. I'm like, wow, that's holy shit, what Hitler did to people in Europe. I mean, I hate to say it, however, you know, he brought about a huge awakening to the world. I mean, seriously. So these individuals have a set role that they need to play in life. However, when you get down to the smaller individual, okay, and let's say you're going off down a path in life, right? And you're constantly coming across barriers. You're constantly coming across people that are smacking you up the side of the head and knocking you down. I mean, it's happened to me. I picked myself up, dust myself off, get knocked back down again. And at first I always thought it was people being arseholes, people being dirtbags, people just being maliciously vindictive and malevolent, etc., etc. But the problem was I was constantly trying to go down a specific path. And it wasn't until I realized that this isn't the direction that I need to go in. I keep on banging my head up against the same damn brick wall time and time again. I need to do something different. So I started to backtrack. You see, that was my free will. My free will was saying, well, I want to go down this road. I'm going to be this person. This is who I'm going to be. And I'll get a smack up the side of the head, knock myself down. Well, finally, after enough smacks up the side of the head from people that I thought were terrible individuals, I finally backed up and I was able to look at the path that I really possibly should be going down. And I started to look at that. And I was like, okay, I'll give this a go. And since I've been giving this a go, life has gotten a lot better for me. Like a lot better. And this started many years ago. This started, oh gosh, I started this whole part of my journey back in 2013. So it is a work in progress. For some of us, it takes a while to get on the actual path that we need to be going down, which is, again, God's will. So when you actually look at this is really interesting. It's when you start to realize that what these individuals are doing over here, they're not being horrible to you. They're wanting you to wake up. They're wanting you to go down the path that you need to be going down. It's not a circle of life. We need to forget about this circle of life. It's the number 8, the symbol of infinity, where there's this infinite cycle of life, right? So you're here, you're heading your direction, you're coming up against this person over here, and this person's not being nice to you, they're being terrible, etc. They are teaching you a lesson, but at the same time as teaching you a lesson, you're teaching them a lesson. And it just keeps on flowing like that. It's not until you actually start to realize that these people are teaching you a lesson and actually start giving thanks and having grace and gratitude for these individuals being the way they are to you, that the people that you start coming in contact with start changing and start actually guiding you down the necessary path that you should be going down. That's why I said in one of the previous videos, one of the things that I did that helped change my life is I actually did a human design chart. Doing a human design chart allowed me to understand more about who I am as an individual, because it's based on the time, place, and everything in the whole solar system of when I'm born. So that's why there's this pain, the suffering. It doesn't necessarily come from God. There are people here that are malicious, that are vindictive at one end of the scale because they don't know what they're doing, but then there are the ones that are there for the teaching. So you have to be very aware of yourself to be aware of the lessons that are coming into your life. There's a reason why these things keep on happening. It's the premise of the movie Groundhog Day. It's like you can keep on trying to do the same thing, but if you're not learning from this experience and you're staying focused on why this person's an arsehole, why this person's a dirtbag, why are these people being so horrible to me, you're not going to learn. You need to change your thought patterns and start looking at it and going, what is in this that I can learn? Once you start to humble yourself, once you start to bow before God, penitent man bows before God. Like, what is in this for me to learn? Humble man, woman, that is when you start to end up going down the direction that you need to be going down. So if you've got suffering, if you've got heartache, if you've got pain, you've got all these different things that are going on in your life, there's a reason for it. You know, it's like me right now. Today's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I'm off to a friend's place this afternoon. His wife died last night. And it's been a very interesting experience watching this friend of mine going through all this suffering, this pain, and everything like that. However, these two people were brought together for themselves to experience that. So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting evening this evening. So, other than that, I mean, I hope that's helped answer things for you a little bit more. I hope I didn't waffle on for too long. It's such a deep subject, and it's just extremely difficult to explain to people that can't really get their head around it. So I hope in some respects this has brought more light to the subject for you, and we'll be doing more videos on this stuff from here on out. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I hope you're having a great Thanksgiving with friends and loved ones, and I hope life is treating you well. Okay? God bless.